Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this year's National Observance of the Philippine Veterans Week and the 79th anniversary of the Araw ng Kagitingan. On the second day of our week-long observance, we will witness the virtual commemoration of the tribute to all Filipino heroes, traditionally observed at the historic Corregidor Islands to honor Filipino heroes, patriots, martyrs, and defenders who fought and died for country's freedom and liberty, from the time of Lapu-Lapu to the Philippine Revolution against Spain, Filipino-American War, and the World War II. It also honors Filipino defenders who fought in the Korean War, the Vietnam War, veterans of military campaigns, members of the humanitarian contingents to other countries, and our modern-day veterans who render honorable military service in defending our country in times of war or peace, and in faithfully upholding their duty to preserve our sovereignty and national security. This virtual commemoration will commence with a wreath-laying ceremony for all our Filipino heroes. Due to the pandemic, we will be playing a final footage of the wreath-laying ceremony in Corregidor Islands during the 2019 Philippine Veterans Week. Now, let us hear the overview of the event from PIVAO Administrator Undersecretary Ernesto G. Carolina.
A pleasant day to all of you as we continue our observance of the Philippine Veterans Week. Today, we pay tribute to all Filipino heroes, patriots, martyrs, and defenders who have fought and laid their lives at the altar of freedom. Since time immemorial, our country has been a breeding ground for fearless fighters with its long history of being colonized and is struggling to gain its own independence. Resilience and grit have become inherent in our people. Truly, the Philippines is a blessed and a beloved country. for it never had a dearth of valiant heroes who would so readily champion its honor and freedom. In this auspicious occasion, we also pay tribute to our Filipino freedom fighters who left their family and country behind to help defend another country's sovereignty. To fight and die on a foreign soil was lonely and isolating. Still, our veterans did it without hesitation, proving that helping a friend in need has always been innate to us. But more importantly, having lived the nightmare of being held captive in one's own country, our veterans refuse to see others suffer the same, and their sacrifices and genuine concern for others have made us a prouder and a more grateful nation. Additionally, we observe the annual tribute to all Filipino heroes at Corregidor Island, the historic tadpole-shaped fortress island that bears witness to many struggles and battles led by our Filipino heroes. The island was also the site of one of the most indelible events in our history, the Battle of Corregidor in 1942, where combined Filipino and American soldiers made their last stand and fought relentlessly against the invading enemy forces for 27 days. The historical importance of the island makes it a befitting place to honor all our Filipino heroes who willingly gave and lost their lives for their motherland. Although this is the second year we cannot convene physically at Corregidor due to our ongoing battle against COVID-19, the commemoration honoring our Filipino heroes continues. After all, the reason for this occasion and the message it conveys are too important and meaningful to let our present adversity discourage us. For as long as we continue to relish in our liberty and democracy, we shall never get tired of paying tribute to our Filipino heroes who have safeguarded it with their lives for us. We will remain steadfast in our duty of perpetuating their ideals and values so we may emulate their gallantry and firm resolve in these unprecedented times. Maraming salamat. Mabuhay ang ating mga bayaning Pilipino. Mabuhay tayong lahat.
Thank you so much, Yusek Carolina, as we now have a deeper understanding and appreciation for this significant event for all our Filipino heroes. And to render his message, let us have Provincial Governor of Cavite, Governor John Vic C. Remulla.
Sa lahat natin mga veterans, mga hero ng nakaraan na digmaan, napakarami ng sakripisyo nyo. Pero sa mga panahon ngayon, nanganganib tayo lahat dahil sa umaakit rin ng edad. Mag-iingat po kayo lahat, iwasan nyo po ang malalaking crowds, tulungan nyo po kami sa pamahalaan para to-control ng COVID. Sila, ang mga frontliners ngayon, silang lumalaban ng gusto para sa inyo. Mabuhay ho kayo lahat.
Thank you very much for that inspiring message, Governor Remulla. Another message is from a Defenders of Bataan and Corregidor descendant, Lieutenant Colonel Ramon Demi Zagala.
A pleasant morning to all of you. Today, we remember the gallantry, sacrifice, and love for country embodied by the Filipinos who fought and suffered during the fall of Bataan and Corregidor. I'm Colonel Ramon Zagala, son of Major General Rafael Zagala, who fought in Bataan. I am reminded of what my late father would say. The Battle of Bataan brings to mind the role of the individual in the pattern of this country. To do more than what is asked. Do more of what is asked. I believe this statement was strongly displayed by our fathers who fought for the freedom and dignity of our country against invaders. On this day, 79 years ago, our Filipino forces, alongside American allies, without hesitation, answered the call to defend the Philippines against the Imperial Japanese forces. Bataan has fallen. These were the words of 3rd Lieutenant Normando Ildefonso Reyes through the Voice of Freedom. It was broadcasted as he read a written message informing the Philippines and the world of the fall of Bataan and Corregidor. April 9, 1942, the Filipino and American troops formally laid down their arms after maintaining resistance from the Japanese forces in the Bataan Peninsula. Looking back, these heroes were the young men and women who dropped everything to serve the country. Many of them were civilians working and studying. Most of the boys were still in college and in high school when they received orders to report for military training. Yet young and inexperienced, they stood their ground under fire and the furious bombing from the enemy. For more than 3 months, our heroes held on to their faith and hopes for a free country. But let us not forget that their sufferings did not end there. Following their surrender was the Bataan Death March, where thousands of Filipino and American soldiers were forced to walk from Bataan to Tarlac under the scorching sun. They were hungry, weak, tortured, and killed. They were not only fighting the invaders, they were also in constant battle with disease, starvation, loss of a comrade, and above all, oppression. What they endured in that 85-mile march were beyond words. From 76,000 Filipino-American prisoners of war, only 54,000 reached the camp. Although the exact numbers were unknown, some 2,500 Filipinos and 500 Americans may have died during the march, while an additional 26,000 Filipinos and 1,500 Americans died at Camp O'Donnell. 79 years later, we now hear the stories of those who survived and also continue to honor those who already went before them. We, the generation who are truly fortunate to enjoy this freedom we have today, give you our salute. We cannot deny that the fall of Bataan and Corregidor bring back painful memories of suffering and loss for our heroes. But we are here to remember them and their heroic acts. And if history repeats itself, we too are ready to serve just like them, to give more than what is asked. Let's keep their memory alive like an eternal flame of remembrance, and preserve their spirit for all the ages, and teach our young people their courage and bravery. Let their memory act as a beacon on how their courage and bravery preserve the freedom of our country for you and me and the generations to come. Again, a pleasant morning to everyone. Thank you, and God bless us all.
Here's the message of the Flag Officer in Command, Philippine Navy, Vice Admiral Giovanni Carlo J. Bacorto.
On this week's observance of the Philippine Veterans Week, I would like to greet and express my deep respect to all the Filipino heroes and honorable patriots who have been instrumental in the country's freedom and independence. Our proud nation enjoy a multitude of liberties today because of your sacrifices and the martyrdom of many Filipino historical figures. From the legendary Lapu-Lapu, who led the first Spanish resistance, to Dr. Jose P. Rizal, our national hero, who inspired the revolution, to the fighters during World War II, until the present-day veterans and heroes who have rendered honorable military service. You are among the many remarkable individuals whose gallantry has allowed the Philippines to be a thriving nation that we are today. Despite the odds, you have sacrificed your lives, fought for liberty, and committed yourselves to the preservation of peace, sovereignty, and prosperity of the country. Your heroic acts continue to inspire us today. In fact, the Philippine Navy's two newest missile frigates are named after two of our most passionate and driven heroes in Philippine history, Dr. Jose Rizal and Antonio Luna. Rest assured that the lessons and stories during the wars and that burning sense of nationalism are the things that will continuously encourage us in the Philippine Navy and the entire armed forces to push on and competently perform a role as this maritime nation's naval defense force. Just like our gallant heroes, we remain steadfast in our duties, responsibilities, and vision. The entire Philippine Navy joins you in the national observance of the Philippine Veterans Week and Araw ng Kagitingan. Taos-puso kaming nagpapasalamat sa inyong katapangan at serbisyo. Mabuhay kayo.
Thank you, sir. Now here is the Chief Operating Officer of TIEZA, Mr. Mark Lapid, for his message.
My warmest greeting to our veterans, modern-day heroes or frontliners, international partners and local stakeholders, and the rest of the Filipino people. The Tourism Infrastructure and Enterprise Zone Authority is one with the nation in remembering the grit, the valor, and the resilience of the Filipinos who fought side by side with the American forces at the Corregidor Island. 79 years ago, around 2,000 brave men who escaped after the fall of Bataan found shelter in the island. The island became a symbol of security and a way to defer the rigors of the front line. The Malinta Tunnel Complex provided protection, comfort, and hope as the soldiers reunited with their family members and friends whom they had not seen for a long time. Though overcrowded, the officers and civilians considered the tunnel their haven. It gave them a chance to live and survive. The war united all the Filipino and American soldiers, Marines, and civilians. It helped build stronger camaraderie within the squadrons despite their nationality and the positions. Together, they resisted the advances of the Japanese forces and made Corregidor Island the last stronghold of the Philippines. Corregidor Island has become one of the enduring symbols of strength, valor, and heroism in the country. Today, may our forefathers' bravery and resiliency also inspire us to withstand the horrors of our battle against our invisible enemy. Just like our veterans, let us all work together and support our frontliners, who risked their lives for our fight against the COVID-19. Let us be reminded of the words of General Douglas MacArthur during the war. Let the indomitable spirit of Bataan and Corregidor lead on. Let no heart be faint. Let every arm be steeled. May we unite as a nation to survive today's crisis that poses health risks and socio-economic consequences. Let us look forward to the day that we can finally turn the page of this pandemic and we can finally look back to our sheer grit, indomitable spirit, and our unity in addressing the emerging threats to humanity. Moving forward, TIEZA is also committed to develop the Corregidor Island into a world-class historical destination. We aim to make the international community know and understand the Filipino heroism, not just during the Second World War, but also in our present battles and challenges, like the COVID-19. May we all have a meaningful commemoration of the Araw ng Kagitingan. Mabuhay ang ating mga veterano! Mabuhay ang ating mga makabagong bayani!
Thank you so much, sir. Up next is a special message from the Secretary of the Department of Tourism, Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puya.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. This is Berna Romulo Puyat from the Department of Tourism. I am deeply honored to represent the Department of Tourism today as our nation gratefully commemorates Araw ng Kagitingan, our Day of Valor. On this day, we remember and honor all Filipino heroes, those who fought to protect our sovereignty, those who liberated us from the shackles of colonialism and war, and those who valiantly strove to preserve the freedoms that we hold dear. I am proud to stand with all Filipinos in raising a salute to our military veterans, service members, and patriots, for without their acts of valor, personal sacrifices, and unwavering sense of duty, the Philippines as we know it would not be the great nation it is today. During the observance of Philippine Veterans Week, let us take this opportunity to not only reflect on those who heroically fought for our flag, the price of our freedom and the toll of war, terror, injustice, and oppression, but also on how today's generation can contribute to keeping our nation unified, safe, and free. At the present, we are battling against an invisible enemy, but one which has caused immeasurable suffering and brought our nation almost to its knees. In the past, the word frontliner was used to describe soldiers in front line of a battle, those brave souls who were most directly engaged in war or conflict. These days, it extends to our nation's doctors, nurses, and medical staff who face the coronavirus every single day. The term is now also applicable to men and women in a variety of industries, including tourism, who faithfully continue to serve the needs of customers despite the risk of contracting COVID-19. Due to the pandemic, it has become our duty as patriotic Filipinos to remain vigilant and responsible and to do our part to safeguard the life, health, and safety of our countrymen. Let us commit to this cause so the sacrifices of our nation's heroes, past and present, shall not have been in vain. This is how we can honor them best and preserve their legacy, the gift of liberty and freedom for our children to enjoy and never again taken for granted. Thank you and mabuhay.
And that concludes our virtual tribute to all our Filipino heroes. This has been Felice Lois Tanya. Join us again on April 9, 2021 for the virtual commemoration of the 79th anniversary of the Araw ng Kagitingan. Thank you so much and stay safe, everyone.